Hi, it's Selena, and thank you so much for joining me for Kids Can Cook in the Kitchen. This is a video about bringing families and children together so that you can cook without being stressed out, without worrying about ingredients, without worrying about recipes, and just kind of cook intuitively and have fun in the kitchen. And that's how you get the kids in the kitchen. I'm Selena, and I am so happy to show you how to do this. So today we're going to make Memorial Day cupcakes, and I kind of adjusted the recipes to go with what might be in your refrigerator during these times where we don't get out to the store a lot because of quarantine, and maybe we're rationing ingredients and we're trying to make things with a little bit of what we have but not using everything we have in the refrigerator. So today's cupcake recipe only uses 1 egg, and it also only uses about 3/4 of a cup of milk. I like to always use organic, but you can use any milk. You can even use almond milk. If you don't have milk, you can use water in this recipe. And it's super simple. So you're going to need an egg, you're going to need milk, you're going to need only a half of a cup of butter. I have the butter over here. I was just looking for my butter. But we're going to do a few things with this today. So if you want to ration your butter and not use all of it, you can just use 1 stick, which is a half a cup. So that's what we're using in the cupcakes today. But if you don't have butter, you can also use 5 tablespoons of oil. That can be canola oil, it can be coconut oil, it can be regular vegetable oil, it can even be olive oil if that's all you have. And then we're going to use some vanilla, and we're going to use baking powder. You can use baking soda, but I'm going to ask you to use baking powder because it comes out better with baking powder. And then also we're going to make a frosting where we're going to use powdered sugar and a little bit of milk and some butter. We're also going to make another frosting where we're going to use good old-fashioned heavy whipping cream and some vanilla and a little bit of powdered sugar. So it's super simple, and hopefully you'll have some of these ingredients at home. Now, for the whipped cream frosting, I'm going to color it up for Memorial Day with some raspberries, but if you have food coloring, get that out. Now, they make a lot of food coloring these days. We're going to do the red and blue, and then we'll have the white. They make food coloring that is more natural. If you have that, great. If you want to go with coloring that's very natural from fruit, I'm going to show you how to do it with raspberries and also good old-fashioned blueberries because it's Memorial Day. We're going to go red, white, and blue. And one of the things that you're going to do first is chill a bowl for the whipped cream. So go and chill a bowl and also chill your whipping cream. That's how you really get good whipped cream. If it is warm, it winds up being flat. So if you want really good whipped cream, you're going to want to make sure that whipping cream and that bowl is really nice and chilled. So I put some ice cubes in mine. Now, the temperature of your oven should be at 350. Okay, so now we can get started. So first we're going to, I wanted to remind you to get out your little pan and have the kids grease your muffin tin or cupcake pan. I saved the wrapping from the butter and just use that and go around the tins and grease the tins this way. And then you can also put a little flour on top and then they won't stick. Now, one of the things I want to share with you is if this gets a little dry, just take some of your butter that you have to the side, getting nice and warm. You want to use butter that is room temperature and a little bit warmer. You don't want to use it right from the refrigerator because it's going to not meld up in your mixer very well that way. So get out the butter and let it get a little bit warmer and take out a couple of extra tablespoons so you can dip your butter wrapping paper in there and grease your muffin tin or cookie tin with that butter. And then if you don't know how to do this, you can go ahead and just take a little bit of flour and put it right there in the tin. And then just go ahead and pat it down. And what it's going to do is it's going to coat with flour. See that? It's going to come out. You pat it, and it gets all of the flour into the little segments with the butter on it so that your muffins or cupcakes won't stick. So that's the trick to doing that. So I'm going to put this to the side now. It looks pretty good. Although, you know what? I think I want to use a little bit more butter. I see 2 of these. So this is for you kids. You can do this right now. If you're a teenager, you can do the whole thing. So I'm going to do that, and I'll show you one more time. You put a little flour in the pan and just coat each segment, and then that's how you dust it off. You just dust it off over a counter, over the sink, and there you go, all ready. So we're going to put that to the side. And now let's make the cupcakes. I'm going to go ahead and wipe, live video. I'm going to go ahead and wipe down this bowl and just get this extra flour out so we can start, because this is going to be our wet ingredients. Now for the wet ingredients, that means everything that's wet is going to get mixed together first. Now I have a handy little mixer. It's going to get loud, but what I want you to do is just sing a song, have some fun, entertain yourself. Maybe, you know, sing a song while you hear me beating. Do a little dance. It's always good. So we need that 1 egg. We're going to put that in here for the wet ingredients. And that means I'm going to also put in some butter. Now, a good way to have butter start melting on its own is just chop it up in like tablespoon segments before you put it in, if you didn't get a chance to go ahead and get your butter soft. So that's another trick we do. I'm going to put this together with the egg, cutting up my 1 stick of butter. There we go. And then along with the wet ingredients, we're also going to put the sugar. So that is going to be 1 cup of sugar. So I have a 1/2 cup measurement. I'm going to put 2. There you go. And then we're going to put in the vanilla. I like a lot of vanilla flavoring. So, you know, they're vanilla cupcakes. So we're going to put a whole tablespoon of vanilla. That's a lot. Right in there. And 1.5 tablespoons of vanilla. I love a good vanilla cupcake. We're going to use this later for the whipped cream, so let's just put this to the side. And then the next wet ingredient is 3/4 cup of milk. Now, if you do not have milk or you have an allergy to milk, you can also use almond milk, or you can actually use a cup of water and it'll still work. So there is our wet ingredients. And now here is my secret wet ingredient. Lemon, you say. Why in my vanilla cupcake? Well, it helps it get a little fluffier with the baking powder. The little acid in here will also create some bubbles, so your cupcake isn't so dense and just, you know, flat. We want it a little bit airy. So we're going to have a tablespoon of lemon juice. And 2 little pits went in here, so I'm going to take them out. That's why don't do it right on the bowl. Always do it in a separate vessel. And then put in the lemon juice right there. Now another method that you can do is to make your very own buttermilk by putting the lemon with the milk prior and, you know, waiting for it to curdle a little bit and get into a state of buttermilk. And that's just, you know, for a moister and fluffier pancake. But I just put it all in at once. And now I'm going to beat this. So, oops, you got to check your beaters. Oh, this is a good lesson that I want to tell you. Don't plug in your beater, especially if you're cooking with kids and they're helping you, until your beaters are absolutely in all the way and you have it all the way down. Because, you know, from experience, you could run into a big problem if your beater is on and one of these falls off and you go to put it on, cut your hand. Not safe for the kids. So always wait and then plug in your beater when you're all set. making sure your beater is in the bowl first. Start it on low, and we're going to beat until everything is incorporated. Now you can sing your song. I want to look that all the butter is mixed in. It looks good. I don't want any big chunks of butter. Nice and fluffy. We're using the milk and the lemon to make it extra moist because remember, we're only using 1 egg. We're going to really, watch our ingredients in the kitchen and be frugal. Now, I am getting a little cup of water because I'm going to use these mixers to make something really cool soon. So I'm going to clean them off in this water. That's a little trick for cleaning your mixer. And since it was butter, I'm just going to go ahead and wipe off the excess butter. There we go. Looking good, because I got to come back to this later, and it's a live video. Okay, I'm going to put this here. This is going to be fun when we make the whipped cream. You'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, so now I wanted to also mention that your rack in the oven should be in the middle. We're going to cook it in the middle of the oven so that the cupcakes don't burn too much, but they cook all the way through. Okay, so that's the wet ingredients. Put this to the side for a sec. And now we will do the flour and the baking powder and the salt. So for this recipe, I'm going to put my sugar aside now. Gonna get my flour, my ShopRite flour. You can use any brand. You can even use self-rising flour if you want, but basic all-purpose flour is the best. So with the flour, we're going to do 1.5 cups. For kids, it's a lot of fun to even out the flour with a knife. I did have one here. Oh, I used it for the butter. I'll use a spatula. But you can make sure it's all even. See if you need any more. And then you can just run something flat like a butter knife or spatula right across. Now I'm going to go ahead and take this extra flour and put it back. So I need 1.5 cups of flour. I'm going to have my 1/2 cup measurer. All right, kids, so you can get the flour. Fill it in your 1/2 cup. And then make sure over a separate station that it's perfectly even. See that? And put it in your dry ingredients bowl. Now we're going to take our baking powder. I have Clabber Girl baking powder. And we're going to use 1.5 teaspoons of the baking powder. So I have 1 teaspoon here. Make it nice and flat. 1 and then 1/2. There we go. Perfect. Now, don't stress out, but if you see that maybe you need a little bit more, maybe it wasn't all the way full, you take a little bit more and put it in. That's what we do, intuitive cooking. Nothing to worry about ever. We make it really easy for you. So I'm going to go ahead and whisk this first, and then I have to add the salt. I am going to add 1.5 teaspoons of salt. 1 teaspoon, and I'm going to change my mind. 1.25 teaspoons. I think that'll be better. Not too much salt. Now let's take this dry ingredient bowl. This is fun for the kids. Ready? Put it right into the wet ingredients right there. And then we're going to whisk this together and mix up I almost said pancake. That was last week. The cupcake batter. Oh, it's looking good. It smells nice. It smells really good like vanilla. So when I can, I like to mix with a whisk because it gets everything incorporated really nicely. And you're going to scrape the sides of the bowl and get it all mixed up. You want to make sure that butter is nice and melted. Looks good. I like it. I like it. It's good for your arms, Mom and Dad. All right. So there we go. That is mixed up. And here is your cupcake batter. So now you take your tin that's been greased right here, that we greased and then put some flour on. And we're going to go ahead and take a tablespoon and fill up with a nice big tablespoon your cupcake tin about 3/4 of the way. So we have a nice big cupcake. So let's go ahead and do that. And this is another fun thing that kids can do. Super easy. You just take that and put it right in your cupcake tin. I'll show you what 3/4 of the way looks like. And this recipe makes 12 perfect, nice, big, fluffy cupcakes. So here we go. And now I want to just remind you that you can take a look in your oven and make sure you don't have any old pans in there that were getting hot this whole time. Take those out, or else you won't have enough hands to put in your cupcakes because you'll say, I gotta get this pan out. What am I doing? Make sure that you have your oven mitts as well handy because you're going to need those very soon. These cupcakes are going to cook for 12 to 15 minutes. So just keep your eye on the cupcakes and make sure that you see them rising in the oven. You can take a peek, kids, and make sure that everything is rising and your cupcakes are working and they're getting nice and big. And so we're going to scrape this. If you have a spatula, it's a great idea to scrape the pan out. But if you don't, you can just use a big old spoon like I am. And spoon in all of your cupcake mix into your cupcake tin. Now see, we've got some left over. I'm going to show you the magic of the spatula. Here it is. So with the spatula, you can scrape off your spoon and scrape what you thought was an done pan, an empty pan. And this is how you're going to get that very last cupcake filled. This makes 12 exactly. I will show you. Scrape that pan, use every inch. Taught by my grandmothers, use everything you have. So we're going to get this nicely in here. Going to make sure all of the cupcakes are evenly filled. And this is looking perfect. Now, I want to mention, if you drizzle some batter by accident on your cupcake tin, you should clean it up because it's going to be really hard to get it off once it cooks on there because it will burn because it'll cook before the cupcake. So let me show you. This makes 12 perfect cupcakes. See? So now we're going to put this in the oven for 12 to 15 minutes. In the medium rack of the oven in the middle. And now I'm going to get rid of this bowl because we don't need this anymore. And I am going to show you how to make the best icing. But first I have to clean up my workstation a little. Always have wet paper towels. I know it's hard to come by paper towels right now, but if you have a wet kitchen rag, that's great. You can save your old t-shirts and put them under the sink. I usually do that. Nice clean ones. But put them under the sink, cut them up, and it's always good to have an extra kitchen rag. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to make 2 different icings. So the first icing is a buttercream. buttercream frosting, I should say, frosting. And how you do that is you take, let me show you, it's 1.5 sticks of butter. This is going to frost your 12 cupcakes. I had a little butter left over on this plate. It's about a tablespoon. So I'm going to throw it in there. It's okay. It's going to work out. And let me put this plate to the side. And now we need powdered sugar. So we are going to use 2 cups of powdered sugar to start. Two cups, right in there. I know it's hard to see the white on white, but it's in there. Okay, then we are going to get our vanilla. And we are going to use a full tablespoon of vanilla because it is a vanilla buttercream frosting. I'm going to be out of vanilla soon. Okay. Now we have milk. I am going to put about 3 tablespoons of milk. This is in a 1/2 cup aside. That's 3 tablespoons. It's about half of a 1/2 cup. It's a little more than 3. That's about 3 tablespoons to 4 tablespoons. And I'm going to use this and drizzle this as part of my frosting as needed. We're going to be very frugal. Now, this is a frosting that you kind of intuitively figure out and see how it goes and see what you need. So we're going to beat this up on low, and I'm going to show you what it looks like in a minute. This butter was a little hard. Woo! Remember I told you to cut it up? Now, of course, if you're working with kids in the kitchen, you have to make sure that everyone respects the beater. Be careful where your hands are. I'm going to show you what this looks like. Okay, here is your buttercream frosting. I'm trying to get it in the right place so you can see it. Let me see. This white is hard to see on the video. Let me show you this way. Do you see the consistency? See that? That's the butter and powdered sugar and vanilla. It's a little thick. Now, this is where you use your judgment. You're going to take your milk, and I'm going to put 1 teaspoon at a time. 1, 2, 3. 3 teaspoons. Now let's mix this up and see the consistency. You can always add a little more powdered sugar. Oh, it's looking pretty good. See if you can see this. It's hard to show you this. Oh, wait, there we go. Let me show you this way. So it's a little bit fluffier after adding that milk. But I want it even more fluffier. So I'm going to add 1 more teaspoon of milk, and maybe 2. And try it again. And now, this is a lot creamier. I'm going to show you. That's a good consistency. It's a little creamier. And now I am going to show you what we do with this delicious buttercream frosting. It's a trick, and we're going to do it with the whipped cream too. So I want you to take a Ziploc baggie and cut the corner about, let me see so you can see it, about 1 inch off. And then this is what you're going to pipe the frosting on your cupcake with. Now you can go ahead and put a little food coloring if you want to make it red, white, and blue. Most definitely. I'm going to do something really cool with you now. We're going to get a little bowl. And I'm going to take about half of the buttercream frosting and put, see, there it is. Now you can see the consistency a little bit better. See it? It's good. And now I'm going to put 1 drop of red food coloring in here. 1. I think 2 went in there by accident, but it's okay. It's intuitive cooking. We're going to deal with it. It might even be better. You never know. This is how things are invented, right? So let's see what this looks like. Oh, interesting. You can always add more, okay? But it's not as red as I wanted it to be. It's more pink. So now this is where I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to add 1 more drop of red food coloring. I'm in charge. Okay, there we go. I think it was 2 again. Who's counting? Got the red food coloring on my hand. There we go. And here it is. It still looks pink. I need another drop of red food coloring. I put 2 more again. So far, it's been 8 drops. 8 drops of red food coloring. But go one by one, because sometimes we can do those drops really big. Okay, here we go. It's a pale red, but I like it. Hi! So our cupcakes are out of the oven and they're super awesome vanilla cupcakes. And now I'm going to show you how to frost with the frosting we made. So this is our raspberry whipped cream frosting. You're going to cut the hole at the end of a hefty or Ziploc baggie on the end, fill it with your frosting, and then turn it like this. Take your cupcake and go ahead, and the kids can do this, and it's so much fun to go ahead and frost your cupcake with that whipped cream. There you go. A little bit of sprinkles or maybe some blueberries on top for Memorial Day, and it is perfect. So there is your whipped cream Memorial Day cupcake. And you can even just put a blueberry on top. And then I'm going to take our buttercream that we made earlier in the nice red color, and I'm going to get another Ziploc or hefty baggie and just poke a hole in the end of it. I need to get 1 more. You want to make sure that you get the Ziploc baggie that doesn't have an expandable bottom, because then it won't work. And cut your little hole in there, because I tried and I learned. And then take your frosting and fill it into your baggie. And like I said, you can make 1/2 blue, 1/2 red, 1/2 white, however you want to do it. And then get your cooled cupcake and pipe on your buttercream frosting however you like it in a nice swirl. I'm going to fix one end. And then you can put a little bit of decorations on top or a blueberry. Happy Memorial Day. Definitely share your cupcakes with a veteran. Take care. It's Selina.